So what are some of the expenses that you think people don't anticipate having when they start a business?
I think one of the most important things that's overlooked is having an accountant on retainer. So having someone who you can pay every single month, who's keeping your books in order, because you want to be able to look up 3 years and say, this is what we've done month to month. You have something beautifully designed that you can send to potential investors, and you can say, this is what we've done month to month. This is our history. This is the potential of our business, and this has been our revenue model. So that's probably the number one thing in my opinion. With that can be an attorney on a retainer. It depends. We only deal with contracts maybe once a month because the type of service, we're not selling a product. So we don't have a lot of transactions. But having someone that I can call who has expertise in law is great, and know that either they're on a retainer or I can just pay them per contract. That's great too, because each client is different. Those are the main two things. And then I've also recently brought in someone to do our day-to-day business development. And this person does everything from pitching to new clients, managing client relations. Maybe we're trying to upsell a client. Maybe a client wants to reevaluate their contract. But what it does is it takes me out of those awkward conversations because ultimately I have to be the likable person.
Right.
I have to, I have to be the person who maintains their campaign. I have to have a good relationship with them. But then sometimes you have to have these really challenging conversations. Or sometimes you just, you really just can't afford to step away from your desk and, handle that type of thing. And so that's helped me a lot, is having someone to kind of filter all those conversations. And of course I step in when needed. But those three, services have helped me tremendously. And I think those are definitely overshadowed. Most people look at marketing first. And I think there's so much that you can do marketing on your own. So many just small grassroots things that you can do on your own. Whether it's starting an e-referral service amongst your friends and family, just really small things you can do.
And if you can kind of dive into that a little bit, can you expand on what it is to have an e-referral service? What would be an example of that?
So an example of that is to, maybe send an email, and this is very grassroots, to maybe 10 to 20 of your friends who are business owners, and give them very special rates and just say, hey, I'm launching my business. I want to start with you all. I know that you have a need for my services. If you can refer me to 3 friends and they sign with us, you get a discount. Yes, that's an incentive-based referral, but the idea is using your direct network to start the foundation of your business. And eventually you'll start working outside of that network with your friends and family. But just to build a portfolio, I would say use the resources that you have every day, the people who are around you. A friend of mine just did this. She started selling Mary Kay, and it was really, really effective. And she just had a very small event at her house, invited her friends over, and you'll see that your friends and family will support you.
Isn't it crazy?
It is crazy. It's just a matter of you continuing to keep on with what you've committed to. So they'll continue to support you. But it's crazy how much support you'll get from friends and family.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how to explain it. I think when you're involved in different projects, there's almost, at least for me personally, sometimes I'm worried that, I'm asking too much, or I'm sharing too much, or, where do you draw the line? So I think there must be a way, and maybe you've seen it, when do you feel okay, I've sent too many emails out, or how do you kind of determine the balance between giving people, because I also get yelled at for not sharing enough. You know what I mean? So how do you make that determination?
That's a good question. I think that I've transitioned for sure. I think I may have transitioned when I just personally felt like I wasn't getting responses. And I was
nobody's responding.
Yeah, nobody's responding. Let me switch my target audience. And then I think I got to a point in my business where, while I do still continue to work with friends and family, I obviously do. But I started attracting other people too outside of that network, and it's nothing like I have to fire a friend or hire a cousin. But it was just that our audience had built a little more, and so I would just say whenever people stop getting back to you, and once your business has grown to a point that you can look at other avenues, because my family still supports me, but they also understand my business is growing, and so they help whenever they can, and they contribute whenever they can, but they also don't want me to feel obligated, because a lot of my family will say, hey, Ashley, the first thing they'll say is, I don't want you to do it for free. And so you will get to a point that they respect it, they understand where you're at, you understand where where they're at. A lot of what I do, I post it on social media, and I feel like if you see it, that's great. If you don't, that's great too, because I don't want anyone to feel pressure to come to anything that I'm having.
Right.
So I get yelled at too, because my friends are like, "Why didn't you invite me?" And I'm like, "I put it on my Facebook."
I know.
But I do understand that people do want that personal touch, and I'm probably not the best person to answer that question because I really struggle in that area.
Okay, so maybe that's just a universal, like, oh, how am I going to figure out the balance? I mean, I have a nonprofit, and then I also have a blog called The Coffee Break. My nonprofit's called Mia's Closet. So I'm on this like eternal like discovery process to figure out, okay, how do I still get, the interest without bombarding people with all this content? So that's definitely a juggle that I'm working on, right now. So.
And I think you'll find that, is that okay? That noise okay? Okay. And I think you'll find that those who are truly interested will, they'll express interest. And so I have kind of narrowed down my group to, okay, these are the friends that I know will come to these type of events. Yeah. And those who I just know that are not going to respond, they never have, then I just tend to just stop.
It's okay. I know when to
exactly.
slow down.
But it is a struggle. I think everyone struggles with it because you have so much content that you're wanting to get out and share with people. Yeah. And for what you do, it's so cause-driven. It's almost like, who doesn't want to know about this?
You'd be surprised. Please stop sending me a little email.
Oh, no. I can't believe that.
We don't need every update. I'm like, okay. So anyway, but no, to each his own. I don't twist arms, but yeah. So I think that's kind of cool. And something else that I wanted to kind of backtrack on. So I actually sold Cutco. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-mm. It's like cutlery. It's knives and stuff. And it's really cool because similar to what you said about starting with friends and family, the whole business model is that you initially do the appointment like for your parents or whoever it is that's like directly, over your grandparents, aunts and uncles, whoever. But then you ask them to recommend 10 people to you. And then from there, you go to the next appointment and you ask them to recommend 10 people. So in everything that I've done, that's literally been my business model, like ever since. It's like, I don't care if it's the coffee break, I don't care if it's Mia's Closet, like everything, my mindset has been, okay, start with who I know, get the buy-in. There was a filter right then and there because there's some people who they don't want to be bothered or they're just not interested, and that's fine. But then from there are people who see it, and like-minded individuals tend to, attract other people who think the way they do. So that's kind of my advice. If you're starting a business, or especially if you have something service-oriented like Ashley, go to somebody who is kind of already inclined to like what you have going on, because they're probably going to know maybe even 10 people who they can pass you on to. So that's just something that I really wanted to revisit. So the other part of the call that really was like so
calm down, calm down, calm down, run down, run down, run down. Run down.